What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews. Tonight, we're going to go live. Got my good friend Dusty Dan from Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews on the show tonight. And tonight, we're going to be going over a lot of different Barrell expressions. We're going to be going over the 21, 22, 23, their rye, and also the dovetail. First off, I'm going to let Dan introduce himself. Dusty Dan.
Hi guys, this is Dan from Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Brandon, thank you very much for hosting me on your channel tonight. I'm really looking forward to doing this with you, buddy. I always enjoy this. It's always
thanks,
a pleasure. Sure.
It's fun, man. It's fun. And we're just having a good time and drinking some whiskey. I am going to look in the chat real quick, see who all's in the chat. All right, we have Trev Wilson. Any drink goes. Thanks for stopping by. We have Jason C with the mash and drum. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Good to see you, Jason. We also have Sam Clark. What's up, Sam? And we have Zeb Taylor. What's up, Zeb? Good to see you, buddy. Kilco's in the house. Richie Z, what is up, brother? And that looks about like all we've got going on right now. Kill the chat. All right, you guys have to be patient with me on this. I'm kind of looking between two different chats here. And tonight, like I said, we're going to be going over some Barrell expressions. And Barrell is a craft distillery doing some amazing blending, doing some really, really good stuff. Dan's going to be going over the 21 and the 22. I'll be going over the 23-year-old or the batch 23 with you, and we'll both together go over the Barrell rye, and I'll be going over the dovetail. I hope everybody's been doing good and having a good Memorial Day weekend. And Barrell, I think they're really doing some good, especially with this dovetail blend they've come out with, some good creative and innovative things. They're doing some really good blending. I know a lot of the issues with people in buying the craft whiskeys is the price point. And it's just so hard for craft distilleries to compete with your big distilleries like your Brown-Formans and your Heaven Hills and stuff. They just don't have the volume or the capacity to compete price-wise. But I think Barrell is kind of compensated for that in just releasing barrel strength or cask strength products. All these are coming out at cask strength. And Dusty Dan, my good friend Dan, is going to be going over the first expression, the Barrell Batch 21.
Yeah, guys, so this is the Batch 21. Proof point on this guy is 106.34 proof. I want to get into this one here really quick for you guys.
So how's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right? Everybody having a good weekend?
So right away on this one on the nose, it's a very rich caramel berry expression, very fruity, almost like some spice cake. Maybe a little bit of, maybe a little hint of some orange peel, maybe. Yeah, nose is solid on this one. Surprisingly, I'm not picking up a lot of vanilla on the nose, but like I said, it's very like caramel, drizzled on some fruits and some of the berries. Let's get into the taste, guys. Cheers.
What's the age of the blends that are involved in this blend?
I believe this one was 5 to 10 years.
It was some older whiskey, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic on the palate. So right away, the first thing I get on the front of the palate, you get some of those citrus notes, which I love. Right into it's very There's some mild oak that you get like on the sides of the tongue there. But going through, it switches it up from the nose. It berries. It becomes like very fruity, like some wild fruits, like some strawberry or maybe some blackberries or something like that on the palate. All going down towards the finish. It's very fruity again on the nose and the palate. Very, very good though.
I love the fruity aspect when I'm getting a good fruity characteristic on the nose and the palate of the bourbon. It definitely adds to the depth and complexity.
Yeah.
To the whiskey, in my opinion.
Switch it a little bit there. That's more of a caramel on the front, and then those fruits kind of transition going down to the back of the palate. Same kind of fruits. You know, some like blackberries, some strawberries, and just that hint of oak on there. So you can tell that there's something in here with a little bit of age on it. So maybe some of that 10 years shining through. And what's really cool about Barrell too is they distill in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. So these could be coming from so many sources, to be honest. But no, this batch 21 expression is fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
It sounds amazing, and I've tried a bunch, excuse me, a bunch of different expressions from Barrell, and they've all been solid. And like I talked a little bit about earlier, I think the only complaint would be some of the price points on some of these bottlings. But once again, you got to realize this is a very small outfit. It's going to be impossible to compete with, once again, like your Brown-Formans, your Heaven Hills, and stuff like that. And I think the way they've compensated with that is very well. They're just releasing cask strength expressions, and they're definitely good, solid pours of bourbon whiskey. And the rye that I've tried also, we'll get into that a little bit later, definitely a good solid pour. And the Dovetail, once again, we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's also just a really, really outstanding whiskey. There is some more people in the chat I want to say what's up to. Joe Edward, what's up? Good evening, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Zeb Taylor, once again, what is up, bud? Thanks for stopping by. Kilco, good to see you, bud. All right.
Yeah, chat's starting to grow, man. Starting to get some people in here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That is. Well, great. Me and Dan's kind of going to go back and forth between expressions. He's going to do. I'm going to do the 23 next. He's going to go back to the 22. Then we'll review the rye together, and then I'll go into the Dovetail. But this here's the batch 23. Go ahead and put this up on the bottom of the screen for you. So it's a batch 23, and this is a pretty unique. Not unique, I shouldn't say, but it's a blend of some older bourbons, some older whiskeys. I think there's a 10-year blend in there and a 12-year. I'll pull it up on my phone real quick so I can give you the correct information. Can't really see the ticker that well. All right, yeah. It's coming in at 107.78 proof, and it's a blend of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana whiskey from a selection of 10, 12, and 15-year-old barrels. So it's some older whiskey in this one right here. Definitely, once again, coming in at cask strength. I think the reason the cask strength proof on this one's a little bit lower is just due in part to the fact that it's older whiskey. Once you get into some older aged bourbons, that proof, it's hard to keep a good proof or a real high, like 130 or 150 or 130 or 140 proof, or getting that real crazy high range when you have an extremely aged bourbon whiskey. And a 15-year bourbon is a good age, a good solid age on a bourbon whiskey. We'll get into the nose. This is the batch 23 Barrell. Once again, I want to thank everyone for stopping in. The nose on this one is coming across as like a nice molasses. There's a nice aged oak note on the nose also. Getting a little bit of a fruity characteristic on this one also, but it's like a dark, deep, rich cherry note. Some clove and some allspice. And a little bit of caramel and vanilla. It is coming in 107 proof, but the ethanol, it is there a little bit, but it's not really just blowing you out of the water with ethanol or alcohol sense to the whiskey. It's got a very inviting and rich nose.
Okay, the way that these guys do their blending is just, it's unreal.
It's definitely, they do an outstanding job on their blends, and it's there's nothing, like you said, that they do an outstanding job on their blends. There's nothing really jumping out saying it's just oak, or it's just caramel, or it's just vanilla. Everything kind of flows together very well. It's a very well balanced and well-rounded whiskey on the nose.
What's nice about these bottles too, though, and most of their expressions that I've tried, is they kind of just take you through this ride of flavors. You know what I mean? Every batch is just so different. You know, it's very unique. I mean, again, what they do is just it's amazing. I mean, they really do a great job.
And they're sourcing from 3 different states. You got Indiana, which we talked about this a little bit earlier. More than likely, it's MGP. Tennessee, more than likely, probably, I would go ahead, I'm going on a limb here, but I'm going to say it's probably Dickel. And Kentucky, who knows, you know. But we'll get on the taste of this one, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Very mouth-coating, viscous. Does have a nice little bit of a rye spice bite on the back of the palate. And the finish is a nice heavy oak note with a little bit of barrel char. Very nice first sip. I haven't drank hardly anything today. That was kind of my warm-up pour right there. Now my palate's come a little more acclimated to the whiskey. We're going to look for another sip, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, Jason from the Mass and Drum said that they do make some great blends, but it is kind of hard to spend that kind of money for some of these expressions when you can't taste them first, and that they do use a lot of Dickels. So, and again, we've all had several different expressions from Dickel, everything from Old Scout to George Dickel, you know, itself, and then into some of these barrels, and you can kind of taste the similarities in some of those expressions with that flavor profile is it kind of stands out. So
and I just went through my second sip, and I did get a little bit of that, I guess, chalky note, but it wasn't like overbearing or overwhelming. It's not leaving an aftertaste. It's actually leaving a nice caramel oak note on the finish, but mid palate on the second sip, I did get a little bit of that chalky Flintstone vitamin note, but it was brief. And I guess some people might like that. I mean, the George Dickel 13 did win, I guess, Whiskey Advocates Whiskey of the Year last year. So I guess a lot of people might like that. It's kind of off-putting for me. I'm not really big. I wasn't really overly impressed with the Dickel 13, but and I've had some Dickel expressions like the Blue Note Bourbon. They're sourcing from George Dickel, and that chalky, minerally Flintstone vitamin note just wasn't there. Or I shouldn't say, it just wasn't real prevalent.
Yeah.
But I'm going for one more sip, guys. Try to give you a little bit better tasting notes on this one. This is the Barrell Batch 23. Cheers, guys. vanilla and caramel up front with a little bit of cherry, and that Dickel note definitely come in mid palate, and it's kind of tapering off into a clovey, rye spice, and caramel, and finishing off in a nice, rich, almost heavy barrel note on the finish of this one, which is probably shouldn't be a big surprise. It does have some older whiskeys in it, but when you get into some like 14 and 15-year bourbons, and Jason C said this himself, and I totally agree with what he's saying. I think once you break the 12-year mark on your bourbons, you're really kind of pushing the limits of taking the chance of this being a totally overly oaked expression. And they've pulled it off to where it's not overly oaked. It does finish in a nice caramel, spicy, black peppery note, and a nice heavy oak note on the finish. Very nice pour. I think the MSRP on this one retails somewhere around $80. But it's a good solid pour of bourbon whiskey. If you are totally against George Dickel, I would say be hesitant on pulling the trigger on this one, just because there is a little bit of that Dickel, I guess, chalky, minerally Flintstone vitamin note mid palate, but it does diminish and it doesn't linger in the finish. Your finish is kind of lingering in a nice heavy barrel note, some peppery, clovey, rye spice, and a little bit of caramel. But that's a good solid pour of whiskey. Good solid pour of whiskey.
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, it's just so many of their expressions are so different. I didn't taste this rye yet, but I do have a rye, one of their expressions that's it's actually 145 proof, and
wow, has that.
But the thing is it doesn't drink. It drinks hot, but it doesn't drink hot like that. Yes, it does. It coats the mouth. It's very, very viscous for being that high of a proof. But again, it doesn't drink that hot. But those rye spices kind of take over. So it's just a different kind of, I guess, feeling of heat on your tongue.
Mm-hmm. Well, Richie Zeta said here in the comments, the Dickel doesn't dominate the Barrels that he's had, and I totally agree. It's not a dominating or overbearing presence at all. But it is there. At least I got it on the batch 23. It's there, but it's definitely a brief moment of it. Kind of hangs around mid palate a little bit, and the finish it tapers off, and you're getting a nice oak note, a very nice oak note, and black pepper and clove, rye spice, and caramel kind of lingering. What's up, Chad Wallace? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Try to check out the comments right here real quick. All right.
Yeah, Richie said he had 2 barrel batch 19s that were incredibly tasty. So
I've had several different expressions from Barrell, and I live pretty close to Louisville, Kentucky, and I think the first batch that I tasted was in the single digits, and I've had a little bit of experience with them, and they're definitely just good solid pours. I remember when they did first come out, me and Jake were talking about the price point on it. We didn't really know what it was, and we got a bottle, and definitely wasn't definitely wasn't let down by it at all. And I think the way they're doing their blending says a lot. I mean, you're sourcing from 3 different states, and there's nothing really. It flows and develops on the palate very, very nicely.
Yeah, I mean, I have an expression that I actually saved. I had a bottle that was a store pick, and it was fantastic. And I saved the 200 milliliter bottle of it and keep it up in my cabinet. And take a sip every now and again. It's fantastic.
It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Uh, Now, Dan, you said you had the batch 21 or 22 also?
yeah, I do have the batch 22.
All right. Well, let me run through this chat real quick and see if there's anyone new in the chat that we've missed. Nobody new in the chat. Once again, Chad Wallace, man, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Good to see you. It said Chad Wallace said, "What's going on, Dusty? Haven't seen you around forever."
Yeah, it's it's just things with work here lately over the last 6 months or so have been just up and down. So you're really, I'm just trying to get some downtime and get back onto a set schedule, and hopefully I'll be able to put some reviews out. But I haven't been able to do that in months now, so just a matter of time. But I do miss doing the reviews, and I do plan on doing the reviews again, just hopefully, and once they start to settle down here again. It's just I haven't had a break with some things with work here lately. So.
Well, man, Dan, I look forward to your reviews also. They're good, solid, honest reviews. Do a great job, buddy. Do a great job, man.
Thank you.
And so I think the next expression we're going to go to would be the expression Dan has. It is the batch 22, correct?
Yes, yeah, the batch 22, and this one is a blend of it's a 5 year. It's 5 year blends, and this one is batch 22, 116.6 proof, and this one is actually distilled in Indiana and Kentucky. So there is no Dickel in this one.
And this one won the San Francisco Spirits Award for 2020.
No, I think that was the batch 21, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure it was the 21. But this one, it's crazy because it's completely different on the nose than the 21 was. There's some similarities, but not everything. Like on this one, I get almost like a hazelnut on the nose. Definitely a little. Like this one comes off a little nutty. You get some nice caramel, like a deep, rich caramel on this one. Lots of spices though too on this one. Like this one has, in my opinion, a better nose than the 21. There's just a lot going on in there. Getting some nice, there's some fruity characters. Yeah, not necessarily the berries like I was getting on this one, which that could have been like some of the influence from the Dickel barrels on this one here. So it's not like a berry. I'm gonna go into the palate here. Give this guy a taste. Cheers, guys. Thanks for stopping in.
What's up, Doug? Thanks for stopping by, brother. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, so the difference between these two is it's a night and day difference. This one just sits on your palate. It's very oily, very viscous. You almost get some. It's not like a mocha. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's almost something like that. And I'm wondering if that's it can't be a super heavy oak presence because this is so young. It's only a blend of 5 years, so it's not the oaky presence. It could be just, it could be any number of things, but just it's very, very mouth coating, and it goes all the way down through. I get like a lot of spiciness. The spices that I had on the nose on this one is what basically comes off on the palate. You're getting a lot of cinnamon, some nutmeg, nice caramel. Going for one more sip.
Sounds very nice, man. And once again, it's back to their blending capabilities. I think they're doing just an outstanding job on their blends. And you're coming from two different states, which Indiana, we've talked about it earlier, is probably more than likely MGP. But I haven't had a Barrell expression that I'm just like, this was just a horrible buy.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just crazy because like again, like the differences between the batch 21 and 22 are it's just a night and day difference. It's completely different profiles. You know, one takes you down a very berry fruity path, where this one's more of a spicy. I mean, it was spicy with spicy as in maybe a little hot, peppery, and then into some kind of, it's not coffee, it's not mocha. It's hard to explain. It's almost kind of tastes like that a little bit. But again, a lot of like the cinnamon and the nutmeg. So a lot of baking spices on the profile on this one. So just really a night and day difference between the batch 21 and 22.
Which one do you like better?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. I knew it was coming. Man, you know, I mean, really, it's tough because I mean, you could be in the mood for either one. Like tonight, I feel like I'm feeling the batch 22 a little bit more than the batch 21. But at the same time, you know, again, that first, you know, sip of that very fruity character on the 21 was mouth watering. It was great. So it's hard to say, but tonight I think I'm feeling the batch 22 a little bit more than the batch 21.
It could go either way, depending on the mood.
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe if I would have tried the batch 22 first over the batch 21, it would have been a different story. But
Doug Chrisup, thanks for stopping in, bro. I appreciate it. Hope everyone is doing well and enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. Sure, missing Sam Clark. Sam Clark right here. Would you compare the size of the craft distilleries to the indie bottles in Scotland other than? Yes, Sam. They are definitely more, I would say, even smaller than your small single malt distilleries over in Scotland. Definitely. They're most of your craft distilleries here in the States, they are predominantly sourcing until they're able to get some spirits going. But even in that, I mean, you're talking like very, very small amounts of barrels starting off. And the ones that are successful, they do build up, like Wilderness Trail, for example. They are, I don't even know if I consider Wilderness Trail craft anymore. They are definitely out there. But the craft distillers here in the States, to some comparison, yes, but as far as the size of, they're definitely doing things on a much smaller scale. I hope that answered your question, Sam. Good to see you. Good to see you, Sam. All right.
Yeah, both of these, man, just again, it's hard to pick a clear winner, but I just think I'm feeling the 22.
Agreed, though. They're both good, solid pours of bourbon.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, I'm not the biggest rye guy, and I have dabbled with this while we're getting ready to go through this rye expression a little bit, and this here right here is the. Are you ready to jump into this one, Dan?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, this is the Barrell rye. It's batch 3. And I'll put this up on the ticker for you guys, for everyone, so they can see it. All right. All right. There we go.
What I do like about their ryes though is they just, in my opinion, they just kind of smack you once you taste it. Like you know that you're drinking a rye straight
Yeah,
up. I mean,
it's a rye drinker's rye.
yeah, that it is. I
And
mean,
this
like I
is
said, that rye that I have from them, I think it's like 145 proof. It's above hazmat. I mean, it'll wake you up for sure, but it doesn't drink like 145 proof, but just that spiciness from the rye on top of that proof. Yes, that it just wakes you up. It's very warm.
It's definitely there. It is aggressive. It's aggressive rye whiskey. It's a rye
Yeah.
drinker's rye for sure. And this is a blend. This is kind of interesting right here. It's a blend of straight rye whiskeys. It's distilled and aged in Indiana,
Yeah.
Tennessee, Poland, and Canada.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting right there. And the selection is from barrels up to 4 years to 14 years.
Yeah.
This one's coming in at 116.7 proof cash strength. And it is definitely.
It's got a nice color to it. That's one
it.
thing that I like about this is the color. It's actually, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but it's actually got some darkness to it.
It does have some darkness to it. It's not light at all. It's definitely a pretty dark. I hope you guys can see that. A pretty dark rye.
You get some dill, some lemon zest.
Definitely getting the dill and the lemon zest or the citrus notes. Maybe a little bit of an orange peel there. And I'm also getting a little bit of like a little light underlying butterscotch caramel note on the nose.
And I will point out, it is very, very oily. Yeah, I know you guys can see it is very, very oily. I mean, those legs are they're thick.
Painting the glass for sure.
Yeah, it's what 116 proof. Yeah, I mean that's a little up there.
Some black pepper also on the nose.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is very peppery, and there's still some other fruity notes in there too, Brent. I can't really pick out what it is besides that citrus, that lemon zest, maybe some orange peel, something like that. But there's something else in there. I just can't pick it out what it is. There's something.
There's a lot going on with this one, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of a complex rye. You can just tell there's some heat behind it in the nose also.
Oh, absolutely. Let's go in for a taste, buddy.
All right, brother. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, that'll wake you up, man. That's just bold, spicy, but how this thing painted the glass is what it's doing to my tongue right now. It is just all
salivating.
Yeah,
and it's not like as far as the mouthfeel goes. It's kind of silky and velvety mouthfeel. It's not really aggressive, but you get the heat. It's got a nice, I guess you would say, Kentucky hug.
Yeah,
and it kind of envelops the palate. I mean, it was just kind of a quick whiff. Like on the finish, I am getting a little bit of that citrus note and a little barrel, and definitely some rye spice and clove. But as far as mid palate and in front of the palate on the first sip, I didn't really get much at all because it was a blast of just pure spice and rye aggression.
What is nice about this rye, though, and I will say this is, in a lot of these younger ryes, you don't get any of that. You don't get that much barrel influence, right? I think with this, some of those older, some of that older stuff you're tasting in here. There's most definitely some older rye in this, without a doubt. because I do get some of that oakiness on the finish when it goes down. It is most definitely there, and it's different in a sense that, again, some of these ryes that you drink are very young, and they say you don't get a lot of those tannins and stuff like that, but here you do. But then you get that velvety, oily, you know, on the palate. It's actually a really, really good rye. It's really good.
I'm not the biggest rye guy, and I'm really, really enjoying it. All those rough edges, like Dan would say, or Dan said, from your younger ryes, they're kind of smoothed off. It's very silky and velvety on the mouthfeel. Just a very, very good pour of rye whiskey. I'm going back to the nose, and it's still dill and like citrus zest, a little bit of orange zest. I am picking up
right on the finish, man. There is an oaky, very mild. It's very mild, but there is definitely some oaky tannins back there that I'm getting anyway. I don't know if you're picking them up, but I most definitely do.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's blended very, very well. It goes back to their blending capabilities, anywhere from 4 to 14 years. And you're definitely picking up some of those older whiskeys.
Yeah.
It's got a nice barrel note. And I'm getting a little vanilla in there also. Little mint, some citrus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get a lot. I get some mint. I don't get a lot, but I do get it on the front of the palate though. After that rye, that spicy rye bang just goes away. There's a little bit of that mint and a little bit of that dill on the front of the palate. I like it.
Yes, Richie Z was asking, is it 100% rye blend? Yes, it is. Yes, it is a 100% rye blend.
But it's nice though. Like, again, this drink's way different from the one that I have. Again, because the one that I have is just really, really spicy. And then very, very hot, obviously, at 145 proof. It doesn't drink anywhere near this. This blows the one that I have away completely. This is really, really good.
I'm not the biggest rye guy, and I know.
Yeah, I remember
really, really enjoying this one. Very much so.
Yeah,
I'm actually enjoying it more than the Batch 23. The bourbon, just due in part to the fact that it had a very silky and velvety mouthfeel, and that finish, it's definitely got a super long finish. It just kind of lingers, and I'm kind of salivating, and it's making you want to go back for another sip.
And yet, I want to say hopefully this kind of makes sense, but like after that initial, blast, that spice, you get some of the, like I said, you get some of that dill, you get some of that mint, kind of transitions to the middle of the palate. You get some of that citrus into the finish where you get some of that, a little bit of that oakiness, and then the flavor goes away. But yet it's still very oily and on your palate, if that kind of makes sense. Like that kind of sticks around for a little bit. It's just that finish, like the finish, the flavors in the finish kind of go away quick, but they kind of sit on your tongue at the same time, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's just a very, very good blend. And once again, going back to Barrell's blending capabilities, I'm not the biggest rye person. I'm just not. And I really, really like this one. I really enjoy it. And it's 100% rye. It's straight rye whiskey. It's 100% rye blend. And it's got it's a blend from Poland, Canada, and Tennessee and Indiana. So it's got MGP. Who knows where the Tennessee rye is coming from, and Poland and Canadian blend. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that probably some of your older whiskeys was probably part of the Canadian blend, but It's very, very nice.
Doesn't
very,
Whistle Pig get some of their stuff from Canada?
Yes. Yes, they as they stated, they bring it back and save it. But to be honest, the 10 years straight Whistle Pig, I liked it. I really, really liked it. It was a good, solid pour of rye whiskey. But it wasn't like, wow, like this is really, really good. This is very, very good. I didn't have that wow factor that this has. And I thought maybe me personally, I thought the Whistle Pig was maybe a little bit overpriced. It's a $80 to $100 bottle of whiskey, and even though it does have a 10-year age statement, I think a lot of time people get caught up in age statements. But yeah, I wasn't really that big of a fan. I liked the Whistle Pig. I just thought it was very overpriced.
Yeah, I mean, with Whistle Pig, I mean, honestly, it's kind of a hit or miss for me. I mean, I had a pick of theirs that was pretty decent, but some of the other expressions that I've tried, I've just never been a huge fan of.
You sent me the pick, and that pick was outstanding. And I've had some picks, but what's crazy, you can buy the picks for like $50 to $60, and their regular 10-year expression. You're paying
honestly, if I had a chance to buy a bottle of this rye right here, I do it like that. I mean, this is really, really good, really, really good. Again, this is batch 3. So if anybody out there sees it, batch 3, 116.7 proof.
It's a hitter.
Person, I highly recommend this rye.
Yeah, it is a hitter for sure. It is a fine rye whiskey. Yeah. Richie was asking what the ABV was, and it's 116.7 proof, Richie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dan, man, thank you so much, man, for hanging out tonight. It's good to hang out with you, man. I appreciate everyone for hanging out in the chat.
Yeah, it's good to be back on YouTube, man. And again, I always enjoy your company. We always have a great time, and we started a little early and we ended a little late. So, but I always enjoy it. We have a good time.
It's fun. It's fun. That's what it's about. It's about enjoying good spirits with your friends, and this is fun. This is fun. It's a good time, and we're enjoying and sharing some good whiskey with our friends. I hope everyone's having a good Memorial Day weekend.
I want to hear the notes on that dovetail there, Brent.
Say it again.
I want to hear the notes on that dovetail.
Oh man, they're good. I'm finishing this last little slither of the rye. Man, I've made this well known. I'm not the biggest rye guy, and this is delicious. It's very, very good. I didn't get any dill on the palate. I got dill on the nose. That dill note, it kind of faded off on the palate.
Yeah, it got me on the front with a little bit of that mint, and then it just kind of just flows right through to the middle of the palate. Is that the dovetail you're opening up now?
Yep, the dovetail is poured. I just got to take this.
What's the information on that dovetail, man?
Oh man, okay, I got you, man. I'm gonna put it up here. The Barrell dovetail, so everyone else can see this. All right, there we go. All right, it's on the ticker, and let me read through this because I can't see the ticker that well. All right. It's crafted and bottled in Kentucky. The dovetail is blended in highlight of some of the favorite bourbons and finishes that Barrell. This is Barrell's ooh-wee. They love this stuff. This is kind of featuring what they like in a blend. But it is it's done Cabernet toasted French oak.
Ooh.
in a blackstrap molasses cask. It's finished in.
So I know what was that, the first batch that had the blackstrap rum cask finish, but then it
Yeah,
was something different than the French oak finish, and I can't remember. Oh,
I honestly
it was the
and don't remember that.
it was the Cabernet Sauvignon cask too, right?
The first one was yes. I don't know. This one here
Yeah.
is this is a Cabernet also. This is a Cabernet. It's a Dun Cabernet. It's from Dun Cabernet Vineyards in a toasted French oak barrel
Ooh.
and finished also in a blackstrap rum barrel. And my wife poured this the other night when I was on Scott's channel, My Bourbon Journey. If you haven't checked out My Bourbon Journey, check out his channel. Scott's awesome guy, putting out some great reviews. Check out My Bourbon Journey. But she poured this other night in a blind setup my wife did for me. And at first I mistook it for the new Four-Gate Batch 6 on the nose. Then I tasted it and realized it wasn't that. But definitely it's a very nice nose. We'll get into this nose real quick. This is the Barrell Dovetail. It's coming in at 124.34 proof.
It's a great proof point.
Oh man, and it is just this is an outstanding and beautiful nose on this whiskey.
Yeah, I wish I would have saved some of my that batch one that I had. Usually what I try to do is I buy a whole bunch of like 200 milliliter bottles, and if there's anything that I really really enjoy, and it starts getting a little bit low, I don't want the air to change it. You know what I mean? If I'm really enjoying it, I don't want the air to change it. It could make it better, could make it worse. I don't know, but I don't want to take that chance. So I probably have 200 milliliter bottles up in my cabinet of stuff that I don't want. You know what I mean? That I've poured into those. So it's a good thing to do if there's something that you really enjoy. Want to kind of stash it away.
Yeah, and in saying that, it just kind of took this. Maybe this is totally off course of kind of what we're talking about, the Barrell right now. But bourbons, and they do have a sweet spot. They'll have a sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get down to a certain point, it's almost like they start going flat.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of thing, a Scotch, all the way down the bottom, the Scotch is ever changing. I just want to throw that little bit of information out there. That's what my experience is. If anyone else has a different experience in the chat, Scotch is definitely ever changing, but the nose on this one is absolutely outstanding, rich. It's coming in 124 proof. There's no ethanol tinge at all. It's a dark, rich molasses and cocoa. It's not like a dark chocolate or anything. It's like a powdered cocoa, a Hershey's cocoa, and a nice grapey note, a boozy soaked grape note on the nose. A little bit of clove and spice also.
I wonder if that's coming out from that Chardonnay.
Yeah, it could be. Definitely could be.
You getting any like brown sugars on it? Maybe on the palate.
Yeah, but man, the molasses from that blackstrap rum and that boozy, grapey scent is kind of just overriding everything. You're having to kind of dig deep. I am getting. You said brown sugar, and now it's there, but there is the molasses and brown sugar. I'm saying it now, Dan. But yeah, man, it's got like a boozy, grapey note, and it's like a fresh grape, like a green grape on the nose. An outstanding nose on this, and I mistook it for the Four-Gate the other night in the live I done with Scott. It's just got an outstanding nose to this whiskey, very little ethanol sense at all. Once again, a cask strength pour. 80. I think this goes around anywhere from 65 to 80 bucks. This is a hitter, guys.
I mean, the first batch
pour.
of Dovetail was phenomenal. I mean, it was so good.
This is right, Dan. I'll send you a sample. I will send you a sample. My wife actually has one poured that never got to you. It's still, it was in her purse. She just mistook sending it to Dan, but I'll get you a sample out of it, buddy.
I got some coming your way with these two right here. So,
all right, guys, let's go for a taste, guys. Cheers. Once again, thanks for stopping in, everybody.
Cheers.
Coats the mouth well, oily, and it's finishing off in this nice grapey oak note on the first sip. It is drying out a little bit on the finish. I probably due in part to the fact it's finished in wine barrels, but very, very good first sip. Also, there's that molasses notes there also. It's kind of showing up a little bit in the finish. Very nice first sip. I'm going to get a little bit of water, try to cleanse the palate a little bit. We've been drinking barrel-proof whiskey all night long. Starting to feel the effects of the alcohol a little bit.
Yeah, especially with some of those rye. That rye.
Man.
Yeah.
That rye was good, Dan.
Oh, usually when you get those rye spices on your tongue, they kind of knock things off balance a little bit, especially when they have a little heat.
Guys. Cheers. Man, that grape note is just so present. Grape and molasses, brown sugar. And it's a very bright. You know, when you get in some like your darker notes, like your brown sugars and your rich molasses, this is a really bright and vibrant grape note and some molasses, a little bit of vanilla and caramel. And there's a little bit of spiciness to it also, a little bit of rye spice and clove also on the finish. This Dovetail is absolutely outstanding. I love it. I mean, this is one that it wants you going back for more, and there's a little bit of complexity to it. I think when you do have the complexity of the whiskey, you're like, what is that? What is that? What was that on the last sip? It keeps you going back. It keeps you going back for another sip. There is a little bit of complexity in this pour. Really enjoying it. Very, very good pour. Going for one more sip, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, just from the sound of the notes that you're getting right now, it's very similar to the batch, the batch one, but with that toasted French oak in there. I mean, I'm sure that's kind of switching some things around there too.
A little bit. You're getting that toasted aspect and that sweetness and that vibrant aspect, and maybe that's what's thrown me off. There is a toasted barrel aspect to this, but man, that grape note, that booze-soaked grape note is just right there. It's from the front of the palate to the back, and it's lingering on the finish. And there's brown sugars, molasses, and a very, very nice toasted oak note on the finish. And it's not finishing super sweet, but there is some sweetness on the finish. But man, that is a good, solid pour of whiskey. They did an outstanding job on this Dovetail right here. And they're not putting batch labels on the Dovetail, but I do know that this is a different selection, like you were talking about, like Dan was talking about, than from their previous offering. Different proof point, and I'm not sure on the finishing.
Yeah, I don't remember the first one being finished in French oak. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe Trev or Richie or Jason can confirm that, but I don't. I just don't remember it being like a toasted French oak on the finish. I know it was the Dunn Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon finish, and then the Blackstrap rum cast, but I don't remember a toasted French oak finish or a barrel on there.
The toasted aspect is there. It definitely is. It's definitely you know that like a toasted marshmallowy note. It lingers. It lingers, and the cocoa that I got on the nose wasn't as prevalent on the palate. But this has a nice, long, lingering finish. I know I kind of went through this quick, but man, the Barrell Dovetail is absolutely it's outstanding. And they're rye. And their Bash 23 bourbon, all these expressions we went through, I think Dan, they've just been good, solid pours of whiskey.
Yeah, it's so like again. I mean, one thing that I'll say about these three expressions and most of their expressions is if you were to put them side by side in a blind tasting, it would take you all over
the spectrum,
all over the like just the flavor profiles on all three of these are just so obviously the rye is in its own category, but just between these two here, they both take you down just this completely different road. Like again, you get one that's very berry, and you get one that's very spice heavy, and it's amazing how they're blending these things. And I mean, what a phenomenal job that these guys do. And I mean, they just continue to put out solid stuff, year after year. And that's just, I'm honestly looking forward to what they put out, years in the next couple of years down the road, to be honest. I mean, it's amazing.
I don't know. Are they actually aging their own spirits now? Something I don't know. I have no idea if they are or if they aren't. I know a lot of craft distilleries, they do all their sourcing and blending just to get some of their spirits going. Traverse City, they have released some of their new spirits, their own whiskey, and they did source for a long time. And I don't know if Barrell is just going to continue to source and blend, or if they are aging their own spirits.
I mean, even if they were to age their own spirits at this point, I mean, there's no saying that if they are. And again, I'm not in the loop on that if they really are blending, but their own stuff. But if they are, and it's Kentucky, then the ones from Kentucky could be their own stuff. But again, just a phenomenal job all the way around. I mean, again, just so different between batches, and I mean, there's really honestly not one of these that I've tried that I didn't like. And I've had several expressions from Barrell, and just they just seem to really knock it out of the park, man. Really.
Without a doubt, I think they're doing an outstanding job. I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. It's almost been an hour. I want to thank everyone for stopping by. And Richie Z, I'm going to hit on that comment you did say. It's a boozy, desserty pour for me. I totally agree. Definitely a desserty, boozy pour. Really enjoyed it, though. It's a good, solid pour of bourbon whiskey. If you guys have not subscribed to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews, he is kind of in limbo right now, whether he's going to be putting out new stuff up or not. But the reviews that this man puts up are very solid reviews. He does an outstanding job. If you haven't subscribed to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews, hit him up with a sub. Guys, I want to thank you once again for tuning in. We're going to wrap this up. We'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Brent, thank you.
You're welcome, brother. Cheers.